Topic: Structural material. Aims of the lesson. At the end of this lesson you should be able to understand the following concepts: metals, ferrous, mild steel products, description, identification and uses. Metal bars. Metal roofing sheets. Square pipe. Square bar. Round bar. Lip channel. Angle iron. Round tube pipe. Corrosion and prevention. Hardening, softening, tempering, annealing of steel. Introduction. Learning content covered in Grade 9 technologies mentioned in the introduction. Today we are going to talk about structures. Name two main types of structures. What material would be suitable for the roof of a home, store or store? Concepts and skills. Mild steel. Why do we refer to the term as mild steel? Mild steel has a lower carbon content. It is not as strong as medium and high carbon steel, but is more flexible. It consists mainly of iron. How is iron obtained? Iron is obtained when iron ore is melted together with coke, the fuel, in a blast furnace. Dolomite serves as the flux. Where is mild steel used? Rivets. Bolt. Nuts. Rolled steel sections. Steel sheets. Wire. Mild steel products. 1. Flat bar, implements, construction. 2. Square tubing, implements, structural bars, tank stands. 3. Square bars, drawbars, implements. 4. Lip channel, roof constructions. 5. Round tubing, water pipes, tank stands. 6. Round bars. Reinforcement rods, bolts, construction, implements. Corrosion/weathering. What is corrosion or rust? Corrosion is the slow process of metal deterioration. This process occurs when pure metals are exposed to oxygen and water, or when other weathering substances such as acids or alkalis combine with it, or when it occurs electrolytically. There are three types of corrosion of ferrous metals: oxidation, rust; electrolysis, weathering by acids, electrolysis. Oxidation occurs when oxygen and water in the air combine with a metal. This process occurs when two different types of metals come together. Acids can also be present in the air, and because they occur in a vapor form they act on metals, e.g. hydrochloric acid vapor. How can rust be prevented? Oil. Grease. Varnish or varnish. Paint. Electroplating. Important when polishing steel. Make sure the surface is clean. Heat the metal slightly. Apply a coat of polisher. Let it dry. Rub and polish with a clean cloth. Finishing will take place over time. Polish has a transparent quality. The polisher protects the metal from corrosion. How are enamels and varnishes applied? The surface of the metal must be clean. Determine if the metal is finished. Use a clean cloth or paper to handle the metal. Warm metal slightly so that the varnish will flow well. Use a good clean brush and apply small amounts at a time. Never paint over an area twice. Allow the article to dry in a warm clean room. If necessary, a second application can be given after the first has dried. Determine the paint base to determine the cleaning method for the brush. Turpentine base, use turpentine to clean the brush. Water base, use water. Hardening and softening of steel. Why is heat treatment applied? Increase the degree of hardness and strength. Increase elasticity/elasticity. Softening metals for subsequent machining processes. Internal voltage caused by switching off the operation. The annealing process has three phases. Heating to an acceptable temperature. Working through for a sufficient period at a selected annealing temperature. Cooling at a controlled temperature. Name the factors that influence the heat treatment of metals. Carbon. Biggest influence. Rate of cooling. Terminology regarding heat treatment. N maximum. Temperature. Maximum temperature 720 degrees Celsius to where a piece of steel can be heated to achieve efficient hardening upon rapid cooling. N minimum. Temperature. The lowest temperature 695 degrees Celsius to where a piece of steel can be heated to still be effectively hardened. Temper, the process by which a tool is cooled to obtain a certain hardness. Steel is dampened by heating to an acceptable temperature and then rapidly cooling in oil or water. The temperature to which the steel must be heated is determined by the purpose for which the steel will be used after the time. Matrix base metal. Critical point: little or no hardening will occur if the metal is not heated to a temperature of between 695 degrees Celsius and 720 degrees Celsius. Malleability: if the ability of the metal to deform without breaking. Slip refers disruption, fragmentation, or matte disruption of the metal to atom when it is reformed by cold. Can only be removed by heat treatment. Surface hardening: the surface of the steel is hardened to a depth of 2 mm by heating the steel in carbon. Cooling. Quick cooling. Carbide was not given the opportunity to separate from the matrix here. In that case, the steel will be rich in carbon and alloying elements. The steel will be very hard. Slow cooling. Carbide will be enabled to separate from the matrix. The end result is that the matrix will be poor in carbon and alloying elements and therefore softer. What does the hot machining process of steel involve? A steel bar has little economic value if it is not converted into a usable form. Hot working is the reforming of a hot steel rod into structural shapes, e.g. rods and plates. A hot steel bar can be hammered, pressed, rolled or forged into other shapes. The reforming of iron is done at a temperature of 450 degrees Celsius. Name the benefits of hot working. Name the disadvantages of hot working. Porosity in the metal has been largely eliminated. Impurities, e.g. carbon, in the form of inclusions have been broken up. Physical characteristics improve. The amount of energy required to bring the steel to its new shape is much less than cold working. Large oxidation takes place on the surface of the metal. No fine tolerance can be obtained due to scaling on the surface. The thickness of the metal increases when heated. Cold working of steel. Metal worked at a temperature lower than the recrystallization temperature. Most metals are cold worked at room temperature. Reform metal by rolling, pulling or pressing it. Name the benefits of cold working. Name the disadvantages of cold working. Finer dimensional tolerance can be maintained. A smooth surface finish can be obtained because oxidation does not occur. Increases strength and hardness of the metal. Process is cheap. Larger number of parts can be manufactured faster. A stress that can only be removed by heat treatment develops within the metal. Distortion of the grain develops. Higher pressure and heavier equipment must be used. Overworking has caused the metal to become brittle, and it is necessary to soften it again. Activities/assessment. Teacher must work out activities on the given content and provide them to the learners. During a practical period, learners must be given the opportunity to understand and apply basic concepts of heat treatment. Destructive tests must be done on different samples to explain each of the terminology mentioned above. Learners must design a practical assessment task taking into account the different materials and their properties that are applicable to the task requirements. Consolidation. The lesson covered all the content as prescribed by the CAPS. The learners understand the content, concepts surrounding the materials and the heat treatment process. Values. By studying this lesson, you should be able to know and understand the concept structural material. Learners must understand what is covered in the content in order to successfully answer questions and the use of the necessary skills. Learners will be able to use the knowledge and skills as base for progression to the next week's lesson.
Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more future educational videos.